Today we are going to delve into the tragic story of China Airlines Flight 611. On May 25, 2002, the Boeing 747-200 aircraft was flying from Taipei, Taiwan to Hong Kong when it suddenly disintegrated mid-air. All 225 passengers and crew members on board lost their lives in the devastating crash. The investigation into the disaster was one of the largest and most complex in aviation history. The wreckage was scattered over a wide area of the Taiwan Strait, making it difficult to piece together what happened. After a month of painstaking work, investigators discovered that a faulty repair job on the aircraft's tail section had caused it to weaken over time. The metal had become so thin that it eventually failed, causing the plane to break apart in mid-air. The main cause of China Airlines Flight 611 air crash was a faulty repair job on the aircraft's tail section, which caused it to weaken over time. The metal had become so thin that it eventually failed, causing the plane to break apart in mid-air. This was discovered after months of investigation, as the wreckage was scattered over a wide area of the Taiwan Strait, making it difficult to piece together what happened. All 225 passengers and crew members on board lost their lives in the devastating crash. The tragedy of Flight 611 was felt around the world as families and loved ones mourned the loss of those who perished. It was a stark reminder of the importance of proper maintenance and safety checks in the aviation industry. But even in the face of such devastation, there were heroes who emerged from the wreckage. The crew members on board fought to keep the plane under control as it began to disintegrate, giving passengers precious moments to prepare for the inevitable impact. The investigation of China Airlines Flight 611 air crash was a lengthy and complex process. It involved multiple agencies, including the Taiwan Aviation Safety Council, the National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB) of the United States, and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau of the Civil Aviation Administration of China. The investigation began immediately after the crash, with teams of experts and investigators dispatched to the crash site to gather evidence and examine the wreckage. The initial focus was on recovering the black boxes, which contained critical data about the flight leading up to the crash. Once the black boxes were recovered, they were sent to the NTSB in the United States for analysis. The data from the black boxes provided important clues about what happened in the moments leading up to the crash, including changes in airspeed and altitude. In addition to analyzing the black box data, investigators also examined the wreckage of the aircraft in detail. They discovered that the tail section of the plane had been repaired improperly years earlier, causing it to weaken over time. The metal had become so thin that it eventually failed, causing the plane to break apart in mid-air. The investigation also looked at other factors that may have contributed to the crash, such as weather conditions and pilot error. However, it was ultimately determined that the faulty repair job on the tail section was the primary cause of the crash. The investigation of China Airlines Flight 611 air crash took several months to complete and involved extensive collaboration between multiple agencies and experts. The findings of the investigation led to changes in safety regulations and procedures to prevent similar accidents from happening in the future. The China Airlines Flight 611 air crash resulted in the tragic loss of all 225 25 passengers and crew members on board. The victims came from various countries including Taiwan, China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, and the United States. Among the victims were families traveling together, business people, students, and tourists. The loss of life was felt deeply by their loved ones and communities. Memorials were held to honor the lives lost, and the investigations were conducted to determine the cause of the crash and prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. The tragedy of China Airlines Flight 611 serves as a reminder of the importance of aviation safety and the need for ongoing efforts to improve it. As we remember the victims of China Airlines Flight 611, let us also honor those who worked tirelessly to uncover the truth behind this terrible tragedy. May their efforts help prevent future disasters and keep us all safe in the skies. That's all for today's episode of Air Crash Chronicles. Join us next time as we explore another fascinating story from aviation history. Until then, stay safe and fly high.